Kaspa now has its first permissionless multi-chain interoperability layer. We're basically enabling asset transfers and smart contract communication across multiple chains. Our bridge is going to hopefully enable en masse EVM users to come across to Casplex and IGRA.
A basically standard lock and mint bridge, not an AM liquidity network or the centralized bridge. It's a permissionless, extensible, interoperable protocol, which allow us to have bridge assets over and from to the chain and using the Hyperlane infrastructure and the protocol layer.
One of the things we're focused on together is breaking out of the Kaspa bubble and getting the real story about programmable proof of work out to a broader audience.
We really needed a stablecoin. We will today.
Supported by Kaspa Finance, the first V3 DeFi protocol on Kaspa. IGRA Labs, atomic programmability on a Kaspa block DAG.
Today, I'm here with James, Mirza, and Jayse from Kaspa Finance. Welcome, guys.
Hey, Ankit. Thanks for having us.
Hey, going, man. Thank you very much for having us.
Awesome, guys. Good to see you and nice to meet you, Jayse. How's it been, guys, since we connected last time in July?
Many months ago, right? And many moons.
Everything's 4 months. Yeah, 4 months.
Been just obviously hitting the conference trail, pushing our project as much as possible. And yeah, obviously during that time, we went to mainnet. And yeah, it's just trying to get liquidity on the decks now. And yeah, get as much TVL as we possibly can. And it is an uphill battle, but we're just moving towards announcing quite a few things over the coming days that will hopefully give us some positive impacts in that front.
Awesome. No, that's great. And you guys did recently announce your bridge. So, guys, I wanted to have you over today to discuss your latest EVM bridge, right? Kaspa bridge. That's what you're calling it. So you announced the bridge earlier in the month, right? In November. And I believe it's going to be Kaspa's first layer 2 bridge to other EVM chains, right? And you're starting with BNB. So why a bridge?
Why a bridge? Interesting. Why not? I mean, it definitely, I think the Kaspa ecosystem definitely needs a bridge. It pretty much means, Kaspa now has its first permissionless multi-chain interoperability layer, which it didn't have before. Everything was pretty much coming from Kaspa's OG chain to either Casplex, and in future state, obviously, once IGRA goes to mainnet, to IGRA. So yeah, we're basically enabling asset transfers and smart contract communication across multiple chains and EVM chains in that respect.
We'll get into technology and I'll get into, all the stuff that Mirza is going to show us also at small demo is put together. But quickly though, right, Kaspa has a couple of bridges, right? Like we have Cat Bridge that was built to transfer native KRC assets to layer 2. Then we have Curve, which is the native Kaspa to layer 2 built by Kev, right? And then this is the third bridge, I believe, that you guys are going to bring, which again, as you highlighted, James, right? Going to create this cross-chain unidirectional liquidity, essentially, right? For me, that's how I sort of look at it.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
And you're starting with BNB. Why BNB?
It's a good question. BNB has a massive retail user base. I guess it was chosen for both liquidity and technical reasons. Deep stablecoin pools for USDT and USDC. I guess high on-chain activity, like probably the second or third largest activity on any given chain. Strong DEX presence as well. So, that's a major attraction potentially for all the DEXs in the Casplex and IGRA ecosystem once IGRA stood up. So, it's definitely going to bring potential for EVM users to just pretty much do what they do in other chains without having to download a new wallet, just connect the RPC and off you go, potentially. And if these dexes in the Casplex and IGRA systems or ecosystems are actually offering great stablecoin yield rates or farming rates or APR, they're potentially going to come across quite seamlessly by utilizing our bridge. So, obviously EVM standard, low fees, fast block times. And then we also use a mature Hyperlane relayer coverage as well. So, BNB wasn't the only one. We are also launching with Ethereum and also base chains as well.
Quickly though, Jayse, last time when we did the session, you weren't there. So what's your role at Kaspa Finance? I thought I'll just quickly go through you before we get into the technology and rest of the stuff.
Yeah, so I guess my primary role is product lead. So the other thing I do as well is I help out with the marketing strategy and all that sort of stuff as well. So, whenever you see an animation of the ghost flying around,
oh, you do
that's
that?
me.
Awesome. Yeah, that's a beautiful stuff. Yeah, I like the ghost.
Yeah, and I work with a small team, and we both push the socials and stuff like that together. But also, I'm a DeFi user as well. I use DeFi every day, so yeah, it's when using Kaspa Finance, sort of I know what a lot of people in DeFi have come to expect and what the modern standards are and all that sort of stuff. So I come in it from a user's perspective as well as understanding some of the core underpinnings and the technology that drives and these things are built on top of. So yeah, I do have a technical understanding of stuff as well, and I help a little bit with ideation, but not too much. Obviously, that's James and Mirza's territory. But yeah, so user, I can test everything, and yeah, so I know my way around everything like that. So yeah, I guess my role is to just understand and know everything about the product and the direction and everything like that, and help sort of plot some of the marketing and stuff like that.
You might also hear his voice on a lot of the tutorials as well.
Yes, yeah, the tutorial vids were me too. Sorry, yeah.
Thank you. I think that's good to know. Given you are in the room, I thought it's good to get clarification from who's in the room. We know obviously Mirza and obviously James. We've had the session with them. I'll put up a link here. The previous session we had with these two. So cool. Sort of coming back to, I guess, the bridge itself. Before we get into rest of the bridge discussion, there's I probably want to have around 40 minutes of bridge discussion. Anything quickly you want to touch upon before we get into bridge on the DEX side?
Well, I think we sort of see the size of the Kaspa community based on some of the TVL we see on the DEXs. I think that's a good indication of the size of potentially, or most predominantly, the DeFi community and a very emerging and new DeFi community. So I think that shows us that we need to expand our sites if we want Kaspa to be a large EVM chain with millions of users potentially. I think it's definitely got the grunt and a lot of the technical ability to handle that. And I think I think sort of leading off your question into the bridge as a good bridge to that is that our bridge is going to hopefully enable mass EVM users to come across to Casplex and IGRA once IGRA is launched as well. So yeah, but I mean, I think it gives us a good gauge on the size of the community. Absolutely.
Early days, right? But Mirza, please go for it.
Sorry, I just want to add a couple of things here. Like since the mainnet launch, I believe that the Casplex community is growing and getting more and more TVL, but I still think we are living in a shell that is completely covered and owned by Kaspa community, but not the all other EVM chains. So if I believe that was necessary, important to have the bridge to the other EVM chains right before going to the mainnet, because that way the community will be able to experience, interact, and live out of not just the Cashplex ecosystem but the other EVM chains as well. And that's exactly where interoperability and transparency comes into play. And if you have some major players just like the Circle or just like the Falcon or any major company backing your blockchain, that would be the awesome. And in the last podcast, I also mentioned that there are the core tools that are missing from the mainnet releases that should be there as Chainlink, as oracles, as subgraphs and stuff like that. So these things should be and still missing from the ecosystem, which we are trying to add on our own and on our personal expenses to do that.
Yeah, I think you touched something on something there really important. I think, you know, at launch we really needed a stable coin, and until this date, yeah, we don't. We will today, and I think that's great news for the community. And I think, you know, it gives people peace of mind. Even adding liquidity to a stable pair, it's something that you have 50% control over that market pair, right? So I think it brings confidence into the DeFi aspect of things as well. Even borrowing and lending, yield based earnings on stables and all kinds of other things we're looking at bringing into the ecosystem as well. So yeah, good pickup. Yeah, I didn't even think about that, but definitely something that we were always trying to add, but we couldn't, right, to our markets.
Cashplex as a core chain was going mainnet. There was a very core component missing from the main chain was
Stable.
stablecoins.
I see.
And I think so the whole community is living in a shell where they are actually not interacting with the other EVM chains, or I would say that they're somehow allergic to it. I don't know why, because uh, at the end of the day, a EVM chain is only good as the core TVL, right? So I believe till now date, all of the volume that comes to the Cashplex chain is from the Curve Bridge, which is the built by the KEF entirely. But I think so, as you are going to the mainnet and as you are building an EVM chain, why you are not opening the doors for the other chains to interact with you? Why you are not allowing other chains users to attract to your ecosystem? And if the ecosystem is really great, just make it decentralized so that entire community can live, grow, and do all of the necessary things. And recently we have seen a couple of examples of the L1 chains or the L2 chains that gone live. And trust me, all of the protocols, even MetaMask, supports those chains and allow them to promote them. So I think so these parts were missing from the mainnet releases of the Cashplex. And if those parts were involved or done before the time, this would give all of the Cashplex users or the ecosystem users a great edge. But now, as the Kaspa Finance is developing as and has developed the bridge on its own, so I believe this will enhance our ecosystem more and adds more value.
Whatever you want to call it, right? It is a pretty small overall TVL on Cosplex still, right? Like it's tiny compared to other ecosystems, right? Do you think Chainlink would even consider putting resource towards it?
Yeah, I was just going to say it's a paid for service.
Yeah.
So utilizing Chainlink Oracle, I think they would have seen merit in joining the Casper ecosystem. In my opinion, we've dealt with Chainlink in the past. A very easy to contact team, very responsive, very supportive. So you know, a price Oracle is a huge necessity for any chain. Absolutely. And it helps build DeFi with confidence rather than relying on teams to build out their own pricing oracles, which we needed to do, and indexes and things like that. So it feels like a little bit of a space race. You know, it feels like Casplex and Igra were in the mix. You know, and Casplex raced to the finish line without including all the ingredients that are meant to actually bake a cake. Or a chain. So I think, that was probably the cause of it. They were probably worried that IGRA was going to beat them to be the first EVM layer 2 chain. So that's all I can consider. I felt like it was very rushed. There wasn't a lot of developer support in regards to giving gas out and things like that. It was just very last minute. There was no planning involved, and that's nothing against the core team at Casplex. I think they were pushing. They were working to someone else's deadline that wasn't effectively theirs. But I think by rushing something to market just for the sake of being the first, you miss a lot of the ingredients that are necessary, like what Mirza sort of pointed out. I'm really excited to see what IGRA brings to the table. I think so far, and nothing against the Casplex team at all. So we do work closely with them as well. But we've been dealing with Pavel and the team at IGRA, and they seem like it's like the hare and the tortoise kind of thing. They're playing a slow game, but I think they're going to really build something brilliant. So,
guys, no, I think it's a good sort of summary based on your so far, I guess, experience working on L2, and obviously you are doing the best you can, as you highlighted, right? Both of you. So why don't we actually move on to the solution, perhaps the bridge, the Kaspa bridge, right? Why did you guys decide to build a unidirectional bridge instead of bidirectional bridge? If I got that part right.
No, it's a bidirectional
Oh, it
bridge.
is. So I got it wrong. Okay. So that's great. It's always good to clarify. So it is going to be bi-directional bridge, which is great. I guess for a simple user, right? What can they do with it? Please highlight it simply. Like, what can they do with their assets when they go to one of the other EVM compatible chains like BNB, right? What is the use case of this bridge?
I can pipe in for this one. So yeah, I mean, bridging, it's really important in nascent ecosystems. So before, Kaspa L2s have been siloed and isolated. So, the benefit of BNB Chain, as we mentioned before, is we've got deep liquidity in the USDT and USDC pools, which is really important. And yeah, tons of on-chain activity, all that sort of stuff. But yeah, I guess the other thing is it's like really common that yield farmers will bridge their stable coins in from other chains in order to get the greatest yield. So in terms of yield farming, a lot of the time you're hopping around from place to place. And there are many people out there who also don't really want to interact with centralized exchanges as well. So that's another thing. So being able to cross-chain into Kaspa L2s in order to buy CAS, for example, or any of the other, the assets, basically the local assets. They'll be coming from Ethereum base or anything like that. This way, established crypto users will be able to come and use Kaspa L2 without having to worry about, going through the loopholes of using the bridge that goes from L1 to L2 just to get even to Casplex or IGRA, so on and so forth. But once the stablecoins are in Casplex or IGRA, then you've got things like, for example, putting your CAS up as collateral in order to borrow stablecoins against, which is the big thing that everyone has been looking forward to with regards to lending and borrowing protocols. So rather than selling your CAS, obviously taking out small loans or anything like that, obviously risk adjusted, in order to actually use the funds without actually selling them. So that's one of the big DeFi selling points, really. And without stablecoins, you'd just be borrowing other local sort of ecosystem coins, which it just makes way more sense to be borrowing stable coins, and because then you can deploy those into different LPs and you can do other things with those stable coins as well, again, without selling your CAS.
Yeah, that's beautiful. So I think bidirectional is beautiful. Somehow I thought it was unidirectional, which obviously means liquidity is going out instead of coming into Kaspa, which is obviously not the case here. So that's good to get clarity. So in terms of, let's break it down to two steps, right? Obviously, Jayse mentioned it's great to bring liquidity into Kaspa, but for now, what can people do? Like if they wanted to take their native Kaspa or to take even KRC20 right? Unless someone starts to set up some pools on Sushi Swap or whatever, right, on the dexes on the other side. So are you incentivizing, or you're thinking of setting up, or are you talking to some institution or other players?
And it's an interesting take on it, Ankit. I think definitely projects could benefit from being multi-chain for one anyway, because they can potentially have this cross adoption from different chains, from different users, and open up their chain and their project to different EVM users as well. So a much wider audience than just say Casper alone. I think we in regards to we work very closely with BNB Chain, a couple of the BDMs there. It's definitely something that we could potentially look at in the future. I think we're more focused on trying to get EVM users to start bridging assets into Caspa and en masse. I mean, I think our core product lies in Caspa, in Lex and future state IGRA. Hopefully Jan or Feb. So we want to bring as many users into our ecosystem, and by our ecosystem, we're Caspa. So we want to enrich the Caspa, I guess, chains that are layered to with more users. And I think even whilst we have KOL conversations about people that are supporting us, like Mario Norfolk, I think one of the things that was missing, and we've pushed back on those roundtables that we're going to present at and talk in it on Mario's show. But this really opens up those really important discussions about why would people come to Caspa? What's in Caspa? What's in the Caspa ecosystem for EVM users or DeFi users, or
Yeah, exactly.
So I guess with this bridge, it allows us to have those more important conversations, but also, how do people even get into it's like a locked ecosystem until now, right?
Sorry, James, you're building the infrastructure layer, right? Like, this is enabling that to happen. But what can happen is a different question altogether.
Yeah, exactly. And what can happen, I think, EVM users en masse, there's no DeFi, and no protocols and dApps, and where all these tokens live, survive, make gains, make losses, and so I think that's definitely what this will enable. And I think that's I see liquidity flowing into Caspa with the right kind of marketing behind it.
Fun fact, for people that are new to bridges, right? Over the last 12 months, we've had over $500 trillion of actually volume moved through the bridges, like Wormhole, Layer 0. So bridges are very, very important in the overall interoperability, cross-chain interoperability, right? But they're also the weak link in many, many ways we have seen. So I want to discuss both, on the sort of technology front and weaknesses also. But why don't we jump on the demo first that Mirza you put together, and then sort of during the process we can go through some of the questions that I wanted to ask you guys.
Perfect. I'll just like to share my screen and give our users a bit of overview that what can be done with the Cashbacks and how to use it. So our users can actually have a very highlighted and high level overview of how to use it. So you have to navigate to the caspabridge.com, and then there you have to connect your wallet. We do have a couple of options there, but obviously you can opt for the EVM, as we are EVM supporters. And let's say I'm going to
Wait,
connect my wallet.
sorry, Mirza, why do you have other wallets? Is this a plugin that you're using?
So no, it's not it is basically a kit that allows us to have the multiple chains, and the protocol that we are using in Codely allows us to bridge assets from the other chains as well. So whenever you're going to bridge or do anything like that, it will actually allow you to connect your wallet and does the stuff. So right now, if you see here, we do have a chains, and we do have a couple of filters here. So right now, routes to Cashplex, and the filter is none. So if you go to the mainnet, then you'll be able to see all the mainnet here. So the first part here is which would be your origin chain. So in our case, it would be the Binance, but soon we are going to, very soon, by today or tomorrow, we are going to announce our Ethereum and the base chain as well. So right now we have Binance Smart Chain and the 4 routes are there. What are the routes? Routes mean the tokens that are available to bridge over and from to chain. And whenever, like in the future, we are going to add a support that if the users or the community wants to bridge their tokens from or to Binance Smart Chain or any other chain, Ethereum or base chain, we will allow that as well. So let's select the base Binance Smart Chain. And if you go to the Casplex, you have to search it and then you'll see the Casplex. So the now route is there. You can have it unidirectional or bidirectional, whatever way you want to. And now I'm here to select the tokens. So these are the 4 tokens that are available in our ecosystem for Casplex to use of. And right now, as I have a bit of USDC in my wallet, let's try with that. So whenever I select,
Sorry, can I ask, when you're saying these are the 4 tokens that are available in our ecosystem, you meant on the bridge itself, right? These four
yes,
tokens. Yeah.
yes. So these are the completely compatible assets from Binance Smart Chain to the Casplex.
Okay. Got it.
And it allows you to completely a full control over your assets. So I'll just show you in just a moment so that how it actually works. So let's say if I have, you can see my balance here. It's just like 1.66 something USDC. I'm a poor guy, and this is the address where I want to get my tokens to. So I'm going to ask it to self, means I want to transfer these tokens to my address as well, not to any other addresses. Now I've got the fees below, and if I say the continue, it will take a bit of seconds, a second or two, to validate the route if it's valid or fine. So if I click here, send to Casplex, it will initiate the sign transaction and then confirmation transaction. So let me confirm the signing transaction first. As the signing transaction has been confirmed, now I'm going to go for the submission transaction. So now click on confirm, and here you go. Sender address, that's my recipient address, same as mine. Token address and original token transaction hash and the message ID. This is the message ID that is actually used for the bridging. So just now, let me refresh and I'll be able to see my address. It takes a bit of while to update your balance. So that's why. So now you can see that we have 2 USDC in my Casplex chain. So let me go to the Explorer, and so where I can show you where my assets are live.
It's quite exciting watching the first USDC land in Casplex, isn't it? Sorry, I think
This,
this monumental.
yeah,
It's great.
it is beautiful. This is beautiful. And I think, I was asking this question before, right? What can people do? I think the first perhaps thing people can do is being able to buy assets on, layer 2s on Kaspa, right? If you are bringing your USDC, you would be able to buy the assets, right? KRC20 assets on layer 2.
Yeah, if they're already on the layer 2, absolutely. If there's a market there for it. So if there's a USDC and that KRC20 equivalent on layer 2 market there, say Nacho and USDC market, then you can definitely use that.
Exactly.
And
It's a,
and the
it's a,
other,
it's a use case, right? And I wanted to highlight that there are use cases. There'll be many, many of them. It's just the one that I thought it'll be good sharing with people.
oh, no, absolutely. And I mean, look, this isn't obviously siloed to our decks either. So this works for Zealous, this works for Casper.com, and every other, like every other protocol, game, messaging service, whatever, in the Casperlex ecosystem currently, and Ingra in the future state. So it's not something that we've just built as a siloed approach. It is for the whole ecosystem of Casper.
Indeed, indeed. Cool. All right, Mirza, over to you.
So back to the demo. So we have here is a USD coin, and you can see that these are the 2 USDC coin that I have in my wallet here. So this one is my transaction, this one is my transaction 10 hours ago, and that's again one of my team member doing the transaction. So they bridged back to the uh, origin chain. So let's see. Now I'm gonna show you my wallet address and what are the number of tokens that I hold in this address in the origin chain. So if you see here, can you see my screen now? BSC.
Yep. Yep.
Okay, perfect. So you see here, I sent this. So now I sent 1 USDC to this address to the our bridge contract address. So as my now if I go to this here, I see that my balance is 0.67 USDC here, right? And here my balance is you see here my balance is 2 USDC. And now sorry, not you're not able to see this.
No, the other one.
Here
Yeah.
you see here 2 USDC balance here, right?
Correct.
And now let's jump back to the uh, bridge again and now try to do the vice versa and shift the direction. And now I have 2 USDC in my Kaspa chain. And let's say I'm going to bridge, let's say 2, all of it, to the address same of mine as mine address. So it's validating, send to
Okay.
Binance Smart Chain.
I see. So you're taking back from Casplex to Binance where it came from. Yeah.
Yeah.
Worst
Just to-
case scenario, we're moving liquidity off Casplex.
Exactly. Yeah. Cool.
Okay, so now you have to click on the view in the Explorer. You will be able to see the details here. It says popping USDC coin to USDC has been transferred from, that's my address. Let's check this address. Now you see there is no tokens in my I hold 0 tokens. And let's see here in this in BSC. So if we go to the back to the BSC, now you see I have 2 USDC. Hooray! So my assets are safe, and this is the exact USDC that is being deployed and working on the core chain of the Binance Smart Chain, and will be working on the Casplex Smart Chain as well.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So we've done both bidirectional testing here to show it's working. The bridge just went live today or yesterday. When did it go live? The mainnet.
I was just going to say kind of last night, hence why you saw that other transaction.
Ah, right. Kind of last night. Yeah. I did see a message.
We announced it a couple of hours ago. So yeah, you'll start to see engagement, and you'll start to see it in the timeline.
Yeah, we wanted to test it out on mainnet as well, a little bit like Casplex did as well, which is smart. But they obviously did some test transactions, quite a few before they went to. Well, they were on mainnet, but they didn't announce it. But same deal. I mean, it makes sense. You've got to test it. We don't want a bridge that fails. That's for sure. And yeah.
So again, Mirza, thank you for demo. Quickly remind me what were the assets, 4 assets, right? So this is USDC. We just did the test. So USDT is the other one. Binance, BNB is the third one. What's the fourth one?
And ETH.
Oh, ETH.
ETH. Yeah.
Oh, you were mute, by the way, Mirza, and there were balloons going through your screen.
Oh yeah, because I just did this, a sign of a victory. Anyways, so we have 4 assets: USDC, USDT, wrapped BNB, and ETH.
Got it. And ETH as well. So, I mean, technically, guys, if I want to buy Kaspa, there is no DEX as such right now for Kaspa, right? Unless I'm mistaken.
I'm not sure. That's a good question.
Like you have to buy from the OG chain, and then you have to bridge it over to the Casplex.
Yes, so that's what I was saying. So essentially, this allows me to buy Kaspa through, a EVM ERC20 token USDC, bring it over to the layer 2.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but you can also push Kaspa onto BNB Chain and Ethereum Chain and Base Chain, which I mean, it will probably, I mean, it'd be silly for them not to put a liquidity pool or set up a market on PancakeSwap and Uniswap, right?
Yeah. Well, that's what I was asking before, because that makes total sense, because you'll start to create a market that doesn't exist right now on these Uniswap, PancakeSwap, right? But on the other side, on Kaspa, if someone really wants to not go through the centralized exchanges, this sort of allows you to get into the layer 2 and then own the native Kaspa, perhaps even go as far as onto layer 1.
Yeah.
And even the interesting part here is that the other protocols that we developed a tool there. We build the bridge. So I believe the other protocol can also bridge the liquidity over to the other chains, have some sort of farms and incentivize the users. But what they can do more is interesting is they can allow more rewards on the Cashplex core chain with the same farm or with the same token, and then now they'll be able to bridge and attract users from their Binance Smart Chain or Ethereum chain to the Cashplex ecosystem.
That's cool. Now, we haven't touched anything to do with the technology, so why don't we touch upon the high-level architecture of the bridge and a little bit, perhaps, a transparency discussion here as well, right? So what I wanted to ask you is, what is the type of the bridge this bridge is, right? For me, let me put it this way. For me, there are six different type of bridges, right? And Mirza, you tell me which one you guys have built, right? I don't know if you've heard these 6 bridges. This is my classification. So the first one is the lock and mint, right? Very classical bridge. You have burn and mint. I think we've heard of them within Kaspa ecosystem. We have canonical bridge. I think that's the bridge I think Igra will do for their own assets. We have liquidity / AMM style bridge, right? Those are sort of have been around for some time. Then we have message passing bridges, right? Their entire job is to do message passing. And then we have ZK, which is a relatively new bridge that ZK bridges are happening. So what is the bridge that you guys have built?
That's a very interesting question. So it's more basically mass messaging a protocol sort of bridge, because we are actually using warp routes, which is actually, so the Casper bridge utilizes Hyperlane's architecture. So I believe if any of the community users is keen to know the fundamentals of it and wants to look into it, what are the architectural overview or the general details, they can hop over to the Hyperlane's architecture, which is a warp route. So we call it HWR, used for the token bridges. And this acts as a canonical lock and mint model, but for far more modular. So for that reason, they have a mailbox, meaning that the messaging layer sends and receives cross-chain messages, which is that's how mostly mass messaging bridge works. And we do use the ISM, which is intra-chain security module. That's a bit of a technical thing, but let me explain. Configurable security layer can be multi-sig, proof of authority, optimistic. So what we are doing here is, in general, it's a modular canonical style bridge built using the warp routes, hyperlane messaging, but customizable and decentralized over time. So this actually utilizes relayer and validator. So this is currently a decentralized bridge, and even in the future we will be allowing multiple nodes or users to bridge to run the,
Like nodes.
yeah. So yes, a basically standard lock and mint bridge, not an AM liquidity network or the centralized bridge. It's a permissionless, extensible, interoperable protocol, which allow us to have bridge assets over and from to the chain and using the Hyperlane infrastructure and the protocol layer.
Okay. All right, Mirza, that was great. I would like you to simplify it. So let me put it this way, right? So this
I
is.
I can sum it up in English if you want.
Oh, I think I would like that. I would like that. But let me put it this way, right? So it's what I heard from everything you said is it's similar to Wormhole, which is lock and mint style bridge. I feel, because they do have, it sort of locks tokens on the source chain and then mints them on the destination chain, basically, right? And they do call themselves, Wormhole calls themselves decentralized because they have 19 validators / nodes that they use, right? And they have like some model where you have to have 13 guardian like nodes that needs to approve it from the 19 for it to be minted over. So it's a similar model, but James, you can take it on from here.
Well, yeah, it is similar, but it's slightly different as well. So, like Mirza was saying, it's a modular canonical style bridge, but it's built using warp routes and Hyperlane messaging. But it's customizable and decentralized over time. So that's what he touched base on. It's not a standard lock and mint, but it has some of that functionality. It's not an AMM liquidity network either, but in the future, some of those node, like if there's node providers or what have you, it can sort of be adopted like that as well. I guess be considered partly that, but it's also not a centralized bridge. It's a permissionless, extensible interoperability protocol. That's pretty much what it is. That's how we sum it up. And if you go to KaspaBridge.com, we do have a documents section that talks about all the specifications of it as well, and that's what we actually used to build it out as well. So yeah, just for, I guess, security's sake as well, we're utilizing a protocol that has been around for several years as a bridge. And by several, I pretty much mean 7 years, as we do in Australia generally, and a few means 4 or more. No, 4 for me anyway. So several years without any exploits or attacks, and it has been completely audited as well. So we are using fully audited code from our provider. So yeah,
Kaspa community specifically has gone through change finance, right? We did a episode actually recently where it was a bridge, and it was a centralized bridge. At some stage they decided it worked fine for 1.5 years, and then they decided to unplug it basically. So I think that's why I want to make sure people understand the technology, but also thinking behind it. Eventually you're looking to open it up for node providers to run this bridge. Is it the plan?
Currently, we are running it as a layer chain, and in the future, as a validator as well. But in the future, we plan to allow it, make it more decentralized with our KFC tokens. So with the KFC token, the users will be having the eligibility to stake and be a part of the validator or the layer node.
I see. So it's, when you say relayer, this is similar to Hat Bridge. Their from layer 2 back to layer 1 mechanism is using, I believe 5 relayers.
Well, not similar. Originally, it's a validator and signer in technical terms. So that's what it's gonna be. Validators and signers, not relayers actually.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at a future state ability to move it more towards decentralization in regards to with the staking KFC tokens that will now allow them to actually take part in the governance, to actually help usher in different chains, vote on which chains are going to come in to the mix, and also assets that we're going to bridge as well. But so, I mean, we definitely want the community to run this. It shouldn't be siloed from our team running it, because at the end of the day, we're not going to decide which tokens to bridge or which chains to add. It should be a community vote, and it's what the community wants, not what we want. We've chosen the lowest hanging fruit or the largest chains for the first time integration, and obviously Base isn't. Well, it is getting up there to be one of the largest, but it's got some really unique propositions to sort of offer EVM as well. And obviously you've got the Queen, Ethereum, and her centralized fork, BNB as well. So
Yep.
I think we've added the ones with the most user bases for that reason, just so people have a potentially a very liquid place to move their Kaspa out to, and obviously plenty of room in the Kaspa ecosystem to move a lot of liquidity into as well.
Yeah. All right. Anything you wanted to add, Mirza? Are you good?
Just a bit of things. I'm just preparing a bit of doc for your ears because I know that a bit of our user, like a couple of our users, would be not fully aware of how the bridge works and what will be the in simple English. So I'm just trying to create a doc with for you, and I'll share it with right in the meeting. So in the meantime, you can continue with the other questions, and I'll share that in a bit while once it's ready.
Yeah. I guess, it's the key reason I'm sort of spending a bit more time on this is because it's important for people to understand what these bridges are. And it brings trust. And finance, trust is the most valuable thing for me.
Yeah. I don't know how many bridges I've used in the past where I've bridged an asset and then I've just sat there sweating bullets that it would never arrive in my wallet from on the other chain. So it's definitely, for first time DeFi users, and I've used bridges thousands of times in my life, and I still get stressed that it's just not going to happen. I think I actually sent some wrapped USDC, and this wasn't even through a bridge, but it was obviously you utilized a bridge to get it to wrap USDC on Arbitrum, and I tried to send that to CoinSpot, and then I realized it was wrap just yesterday, and I luckily only tested like 10 USD, but it never showed up, so I had to swap it to an unwrapped USDT on Arbitrum to actually send it. But yeah, so I think everyone's going to be a little bit scared to use any bridge. I think they can settle on the security side of things with where this has been proven out for several years without any exploitation, any issues, which is great and refreshing to hear. Obviously, everyone has probably read some of the sort of bridge scenarios that have played out in the future. We've actually been not part of them directly, but we've been hit on some of the chains that we've launched in the past and lost a lot of assets. I think I lost over $250,000 just on Moonbeam, and that was me adding my own liquidity into a DEX that we were helping with. So, it's scary. And I think Jayse will probably, with his soothing voice, will put up a lot of demonstrational videos of how users can use it. But it's future, and it's definitely what Kaspa needs and IGRA needs, and the whole Kaspa ecosystem, in my opinion. So, yeah, just test it out with some small assets at the beginning until you get comfortable.
I was going to say best practices for bridging for the first time is to bridge with a small amount of capital first. So yeah, as James said, I will be recording some videos to help guide new users out who are new to it. Because even myself personally, I have gone and wormholed over a little bit too much without doing a test first, and I black holed it because on the receiving chain, so I think it was Solana to Harmony 1, this is back in 21, and basically it had like a special version of USDC, which like there was no liquidity or anything. I couldn't swap it on a DEX. Like I was sweating. I was like, what do I do? But I was able to at least get it back across. I had to do some weird gymnastics to try and make it work, but I was able to get it back across. But I'm telling you right now, in that time, I was sweating bullets. I was like, oh no, this is horrible. So I think a lot of people who are experienced in DeFi have had pretty, I'd say sometimes pretty average experiences with bridges. So yeah, we know all this stuff, and we're well aware of all of these things, and we're going to do our best to try and help guide the users to play it safe and explain everything as best we can.
Cool. Mirza, all yours.
Thank you so much, Ankit. So if you can see here on my screen, so as you were mentioning Hyperlane and the Wormhole, so I just made a sort of comparison. So Hyperlane is entirely based on the mass messaging passing protocol. So
Mirza, sorry, did you just make it while we are talking?
yeah,
Just
So rude.
That's awesome. No, this is great. Thank you. Cool. Take us through this.
okay. So if you talk about the token transfer mechanism, so then the Hyperlane, we are using custom designed bridges, which is lock and mint, burn and mint. Both approaches are valid. And in the third, liquidity based bridging as well, depending on the developer implementation. I'll let you know that on the original chain, which is Binance Smart Chain, we are using lock and mint. so in the original chain it's lock, but on the remote chain we are using burn and mint. So whenever you will be bringing your assets to Binance Smart Chain to the Cashflex, it will be locked in your Binance Smart Chain. But on the collateral on the destination chain, it will be mint. But whenever you'll bridge back, it will burn and then unlock it on the main chain.
Got it. Got it. Of course, it makes sense, right? Yeah.
So now we on the Wormhole, which is basically native token bridge using the lock and mint with the wrapped asset. So it's basically lock and mint only. But we're using lock and mint and the burn and mint as well. And if you talk about this security model, it's basically the Hyperlane-based model ISM, which is allow you to have completely control over security models in where compared to the Wormhole, as you mentioned, there's 19 guardians and requiring 2/3 of signers to sign the like on to be agreed upon for the validation. And if you talk about the messaging, both supported messaging, token bridge, Hyperlane does not allow to have like Hyperlane is not natively token bridges, but it's more of a mass messaging passing, but it allows a developer to build on top of Hyperlane. And Wormhole is basically native token bridge included. If you talk about liquidity transfer supported via external integrations, same goes for the Wormhole. NFT bridging requires custom logic, native NFT bridging available. So whenever we're going to talk about the required custom logic, it means that developer needs to implement that. This is the most interesting part, which is permissionless deployment. So if you talk about the Hyperlane, any protocol or any chain can utilize it, and it's completely permissionless for you to use. Whereas the Wormhole requires authentications, validations, and the like I would say a go ahead from the core team. Then you'll go for that. And the primary use cases is app chain communication, custom token bridges, configuring security. The core use of Wormhole is wrap tokens, NFT bridges, and rapid multi-chain deployment for dApps. This is the most generic and most basic thing for our users to understand how it actually works and what are the differences between Hyperlane and the Wormhole.
Okay. No, that's good. Thank you. I think it's definitely better to have this explanation. So are you actually bringing Hyperlane protocol? Is that what you're bringing?
Yes. So our whole our bridge is based on the Hyperlane core protocol.
Okay. So it is Hyperlane's fork you're doing that you're going to be using for this.
We are not doing it a fork. It's basically a protocol that allows you. So if you talk about the chain link, if you talk about the subgraph, it is a protocol that it's a tool or it's an app that allows you to build on top of it. So we use the core infrastructure of Hyperlane, which is a mass messaging protocol, and we built on top of it our custom bridge, so it allow us to have the whatever sort of ability we want out of that bridge. And just in case you were mentioning the volume, so the current volume of the bridges is in the last 24 hours is $17.9 billion.
Yeah. Yeah. It's huge. It's huge. As I said, last year it was $500 billion. That was moved through bridges.
I highly want that this ecosystem grows after our introducing of the bridge, so that we can actually bridge assets to and from our multiple chains and to the ecosystem, where we actually grow the ecosystem to its fully extent.
Yeah, cool. All right, guys. I think I'm quite happy that we could have this transparent discussion. I think that's the first part of the equation, right? To have the discussion, and the second part is obviously putting out the docs, the communication to the community, which obviously Jayse, you'll be doing a lot of that, so that's great. Now, can we please quickly talk about the fee structure? How you're thinking of charging for the bridge?
So fees. So we're looking at so typical costs. And depending which chains, you're looking at a typical cost of somewhere between 10 cents and 40 cents per bridge event, and that includes gas on origin, and also Kaspa Bridge service fee as well, which we calculate at 0.25%. So it is very competitive compared to other cross-chain bridges out there in different ecosystems. And so, yeah, that's pretty much, we will be going to market with that. And obviously those typical costs that I mentioned between 10 and 40 cents, they could be higher or lower pretty much, but we will be pushing this out on our Git book as well, that will be connected to Kaspa Bridge as well.
Cool. So it's right in the middle, I think. Typically, it's 0.01 to 0.5. I believe that's the range. So you're thinking 0.25, somewhere, around that number.
That's correct.
In terms of between the layer 2s on Kaspa itself, what's your plan? Because obviously this is cross-chain. What about the layer 2s on Kaspa? Will people be able to interoperably move their assets between those two when IGRA is live?
Yeah, absolutely. When IGRA does go to mainnet, Hyperlane is chain agnostic. So both IGRA and Casplex run EVMs, so we can enable direct IGRA to Casplex transactions or transfers rather, cross L2 liquidity pools, interchain accounts, so ICAs again, which Mirza sort of touched on. And yeah, obviously this removes the need to sort of route via Ethereum or BNB as well. So yeah, Kaspa's L2s can finally be interoperable with each other, which is exciting.
That is very exciting. I think a lot of people asked us early on this question, so it's great to get an answer now that eventually when IGRA is live, through the bridge, you'll be able to move the assets between one chain to another. That's great. Guys, I do have two wrap-up questions. So let me ask you the first one, which is perhaps for Mirza. Mirza, you briefly touched upon KFC token, how people will be able to use KFC token for this bridge, right?
Perfect. So yes, we do have lots of plan around the KFC to be allow users to utilize it. So we are trying to have it a utility token, not just an pump and dump token. So in the future, we will be using KFC token for the staking, validator nodes, fee discounts and fee sharing, ecosystem security, and governance over chain expansions and asset wide listing and stuff like that. So ultimately, in the future, KFC will be and in the future, KFC will be deeply integrated into our core ecosystem, starting from the bridge to dexes to faces to farms to staking to governance and to run the validator nodes and stuff like that. Everything will be criteria or utilized by and incentivized by the KFC tokens in our protocol.
Beautiful. Okay, so lots to discuss perhaps on the next session. And this one I would put it to you, James. So you mentioned 30 to 40 new EVM networks that are in the queue for the bridge, right? So what's next?
I can mention some of our plans, and obviously these are going to be chosen by the community, like we mentioned earlier. But I think you sort of might have seen even Solana in that little demonstration is a possibility as well, and other chains that aren't EVM. So like we said already, we've integrated BNB Ethereum-based IGRA in testnet and Casplex on mainnet. IGRA obviously will go to mainnet as soon as it's ready. And I do have a list here, so I'm just going to pull it up. But so, I mean, some of the chains that we're thinking of in the short-term rollout, next 5 to 10 chains, Arbitrum, Optimism, Polygon, Avalanche, Sonic, aka Phantom, ZK Sync, Scroll, Linear, Mode, Mantle, ones like Verachain, BitNet, EVM. And then, in the future, that would be our long-term roadmap for Kaspa Bridge. I think, the community are going to play a big role in this before we stand up any governance portal anyway, in those short-term chains that we add. And we'll run chain priority polls on X and Discord and Telegram. Maybe not so much Discord. We don't have Discord yet. But yeah, definitely X and Telegram. So the Kaspa community will choose what comes next. And yeah, but we'll support it and we'll build it. So we'll build a bridge so they can come to the other side and back again.